Hello YouTube family, James Green, Short Series Shenanigans. So this is the next part in our series of creating a fixture plate. So what we're actually going to do is I was going to show you guys how I do it, and I have got a and I wanted to walk everybody through so that way if you're new to my channel, and thank you to all the new YouTube subscribers, I greatly appreciate it. I notice I've picked up quite a bit since the open house there in Ohio, and look forward to meeting you guys at the Summer Bash, and those of you that will attend. I presume John will have an open house next year, and we look forward to going up there. So anyway, I want to show you guys kind of how I deburr flat parts. Again, we're not trying to get a super flat finish for anything other than we're just deburring. You know, this is aluminum. We just want to get rid of tool marks on a flat area. Now I showed you guys in the other video the parts, and you can feel just a little bit there in our transition of our tool from one to another. You can see the area, and on some you can feel a little bit. On this piece here we talked about, I don't know if it's hard to pick up on the camera, where chips got in and they kind of got rubbed back into the surface. So to get rid of that, I'm going to show you guys what I do, what works for me. I have a this is where it's good to have an inexpensive import. I think I got this at I got a couple of these at Grizzly several years ago. This one I've always kept handy for lapping, and I don't use it in just one area. You guys can get there's no sense in using an expensive standard granite plate that I have over there. For those of you that are curious, under that there's actually one under there, and it's underneath an enclosure, and it's covered up and protected. So you don't use your really nice metrology inspection plates for lapping. Now you can get metal ones. There's old cast iron plates are good for that, but for what you pay for these, they're pretty inexpensive. You can pick them up, especially, you know, if you find one floating around. So I know this one, I've had it since it was new, and I use this specifically for checking general flatness, and like I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you guys how I use it for lapping. Now I'm going to move the camera here, and I've got a good angle to show you guys. So it's basically a 3" by 10 by 18, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let's see. We're a we're a 9 actually. It's a 9 by 12. I stand corrected. 9 by 12 by 3. So 9 by 12, 3 inches tall, and we're going to need this. So what I like to do is you can pick up this inexpensive, you know, at Harbor Freight, the Chinese, this stuff breaks down pretty quick the way we use it here when you go to put WD-40 on it. And the reason I use the WD-40 because we're using aluminum. Now on our plates, I'll show you the first one. This is the first one we cut, okay? And you can see here, I'll try to get the light to show it, when we were doing our initial setup. If I get the light to pick up on it just right here. There we go. Okay, you can see this area right here where I was getting my tool depth set. So that has showed as a, there we go, as a low spot, okay? So I'll definitely go back and I'll re-fly cut this again. Again, there's no critical dimension on how thick this has to be, but I will go fly cut because that is an issue, and lapping it didn't pull it out, and it's a couple thou. Or probably a thou. I'll come back and just take 2 or 3 off and reflatten it. Haven't done the other side yet because I'm still going to throw it in the plate. But we did do this one here. Okay, and we just got general, because on top you could feel, we're not so worried about getting rid of the tool marks, and you could see the transition lines. We're not worried about that. You can't even feel that. That's just maybe a 1/2 tenth, if that. We're not worried about that. But we ran it across, and I usually run it, you know, to get the little pieces that got worked back down into the surface. So we've deburred the edges. The only thing I haven't done is the corners yet, and I'll do those on a belt sander that I've got. So, and we did this side as well too. We got rid of the little raised stuff that kind of got worked back into the surface. So the way we started off was just a liberal amount of, and again, the WD-40, we squirted it on, and you can see how the paper's already, the grit's coming off. And that's why I say use this cheap stuff on aluminum, because aluminum gums up really bad. I found that this works well if you want to deburr a large flat surface. It was one day I tried it and I thought, okay, that works good. This is aluminum oxide paper. This happens to be 40 grit. And when you put the WD-40 on here, it actually makes the abrasive disbond from the paper, which is fine. Again, this is just a real quick, it's a throwaway, you know, couple of pieces. We're not working for a super fine finish. Aluminum gums up sandpaper, but I found this actually works pretty good. So we've got one piece here, and you can feel a little bit of the tool marks. Again, there are some that certain areas that you could feel that kind of got worked in. So we're not worried about getting rid of, you know, there's a little bit of a differential right there, and you can feel a little bit over here where we had some of this get worked back in. So got our WD-40 on here. Keep a liberal amount, even spray some onto the part. And what I like to do is you just grab it, set it down, and you will need to hold your paper, and you put some underneath to help hold it. Keep your fingers out of the way, and just a real simple. Now you can do like figure eights and stuff, that's fine. You know, pick a pattern. There's nothing really, we're not concerned about the finish. This is going to be a working piece of material, so you can go in circles, move to the other end of the paper, and just to kind of at the end there get a good doesn't take much. Have rags handy so you can get rid of your grit. Okay, and then I even have some carb cleaner handy here just to wash the grit off real quick. And then you can come back, we'll blow a little bit of air here. And what we're doing is we're just feeling the surface. Okay, that's a lot, that's very acceptable. We can feel a little bit right there still where some of that got worked in. But this is going to be, well, this is where you like pick your top and bottom. So I know that this has been removed. This is acceptable because what I'm mainly worried about is the edges, where parallels are going to sit, because this is going to be on the bottom and it'll set in the vise. Okay, so this is primarily, yeah, that's kind of the blim in there. We're not worried about that because that's not going to really, and truthfully, what we're going to be doing, we're mainly concerned about where the parallels are going to sit here. And as long as there's no little bumps or ridges, that's fine, because this will actually come back and these will end up setting in the fixture as such. And so we'll end up calling this the top. And the top's actually really good shape. There's not any blims on the bottom. Same thing, come back here, WD-40. Again, this stuff doesn't last long, but you don't need to get really, you know, we're just getting rid of the little, I call it the little fuzzies that stick up. The little curly pieces that kind of, you can run your hand across them and feel them. And it's how you got to take and wash this to get the grit off, so you can feel the difference between what was there and if it's gone. And so, oh yeah, that's definitely smooth. Again, you can still see the little bit of that transitional line, but I can't even get my fingernail. That might be a 1/2 but when I'm over here on the edges, for what this is going to be, a fixture plate, if I was worried about and wanted it one complete smooth, if I had a surface grinder, or actually if I had a large enough face mill, which I don't, you could just make one pass. But you know, I'm not worried about that. That's just a real small, what I'm worried about is here at the edges where the parallels are going to fit, and that's going to be fine. We'll actually call this the top. Okay, that's really nothing to even scoff at. Yeah, I mean, you could see where there's a little bit of a low right there. If you want to go back and work it, you could, but for what this is going to be used for, that'll definitely work. Got one more to do here. Same thing. This was the last one. It turned out the best because by the time we got to this and we figured out the feed rate that worked well for that finish, with the power feed. So now I know in the future when I go to use that bit again, and we found it about between 2.5 and 3 on the dial down here on the power feed, that worked well for the 6061 aluminum with that profile on the bit. So this doesn't take a whole lot. Matter of fact, I might change paper because that's pretty much gone right there. Okay, so yeah, we'll just set that here. This is where it's handy to have, you keep the rags handy. And again, I don't use this for any metrology. This is for lap. I've always used this one for lapping. There was a little chip on the corner, but that doesn't affect anything. Use some of these old rags up here. I got a bunch of old socks. So this is always used for lapping, no inspection or anything. So what I'm doing here is, you do not want to do this to your really nice inspection that you use for metrology. This has never been used for metrology, and it never will be. This is strictly for lapping. And so having to come in here with more rags so we don't end up with little bumps underneath the paper, which is fine. Okay, shake the paper off. Again, this is just a really inexpensive, you know, it doesn't last that. And you can, honestly, I think I got a bit, it was a multi-package grit from, I think it was like 46 all the way up to like 320 if I remember. And I think I paid like, it was on clearance and there was probably 100 sheets in there, and I think I paid like $3. So come in here through WD-40, and to make it stick flat, and you guys can see how and the reason I use the WD-40, it works well with aluminum for what we're doing here. So we'll go back to what we were doing. We'll just stick straight. Okay. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna rinse this side real quick. Blow it off. Okay. Oh yeah. So again, that's just shadow right there. We're not worried about it. What we're concerned about is along our edges where our parallels may sit. Okay. Last side here. WD-40. Now this one, I'm just going to go in a circle. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Or you could do figure 8, circle. You know, it's one of those, if you want it, if you're really OCD about, you want things to look neat, then you just go one way and keep the patterns the same. Not that any of us machinists are ever OCD, right? We're never nitpicky about things, right? So I'll do one just in a circle to show you guys how it looks. You move around all over your paper so you're using all the abrasive. Okay. And plus this helps, you know, distribute everything around here. Using up a lot of these old rags here. Throw them away. Come in here. Blast that off. Now, you can see we've got a little bit right there on that edge, and I know that'll affect something. Okay, so we've got a little bit right there, not on this side, but it's on this side, and that's big enough. You know what, I can feel that from about here down. It's actually big enough that that is big enough right there. I can feel it, that I will refly cut this side. I can feel it. So that's, it would take a lot for me to lap that off, and I can tell that would be an issue. That would definitely be a, you know, we could sweep it in and check it, but that's definitely I want to refly, so I'll fly cut this whole side. That's what part of this does. It helps you determine how flat are my items. So that'll get fly cut with the other one here. So we're going to refly cut these two. We'll set those over there. So we're done with this for right now. I'm going to actually move this off and set it over here out of the way. And what I'm going to show you guys next, I'm a big fan of, people are always, you know, I've had people comment in the past about, you know, and I'm always a big proponent about make sure you wear your protective clothing and stuff. What I found works well, I just had it, where'd it go to? There it is. And you guys probably already know about this stuff, because this will eat through gloves rather quickly, and I don't keep a lot of it on my hands. I'm putting this on my hands, the O'Keeffe's. That is really good for keeping your hands from drying out. And I always make sure I go back and wash my hands, because it will melt the gloves down, even the real thick heavy ones. But that right there, that works really, really, really well for limited exposure, keeps your hands from drying out. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do some layout. I'm going to show you guys how we're going to lay this out according to, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in here because it's already a good setup fixture. Let's just do a wipe down over here. Let me get the camera so you guys can see what we got going on. I will move that out of the way so it doesn't wash everything out. That's what I've been working on, is trying to get it to where it doesn't wash stuff out. So it looks dark off camera to me here, but on camera it's really, really, really bright. So, all right. We're going to come in here, wipe that down, put our parallels back. All right, so throwing those back in. All right, so the ones that we are going to mark, and we're going to call this one here, let's see. Okay, that's the bottom because that was the blems. So we're going to go ahead, or blemishes, I should say. Some people are like, what do you mean blems? Depending on where you're at around the world, so blemishes. Over. Alright. And we don't have to get crazy about it. We're just going to tighten this. Again, we're not going to be drilling yet. We are just using this to set up and lay out. So just to make sure it's clean enough, what you can do, so you're not spraying the stuff everywhere, what I like to do is I'll take these and I'll wad them up and I'll spray this just to make sure. This works really well. You spray it into there and you can come over here and get all your oils and everything off your aluminum to make sure. You see we've got a little bit left from a while ago. So we're nice and clean. Little blast of air, nice and dry. So what we're going to use next is the good old Dicom. And we're going to paint the surface. Now, while we're letting that dry, I'm going to show you how I'm going to determine the setup for everything, just so this will show up on camera. And it is easier for those of you that have trouble seeing. Like me, I wear glasses. And depending on the light, and I figured that out with this. There we go. With having the bright light that I have in the shop now, learning to work with this really, really bright light was a challenge. And so anything you can do to help get it to where you can see things easier is a must. And I happen to have several cans of the blue Dicom still. So so this will especially show up on camera easier. So while we're letting that dry, all right, what we've determined on this setup, I believe overall what we're going to come up with as far as a good size, and I think will work well. Go ahead and pull them out and I'll show you what we're going to be using for the fasteners on a couple of these anyway. I have, and these are handy as all get out here, you can get these at Harbor Freight, is putting your fasteners into a container. Okay. All right. And they work really, really handy. You can write up on the inside of, okay, here we go. You can write on the inside, because I did labels at one time, but they kept coming off. And I've got several of these full of different fasteners. So I think, and it's like, okay, well, let's see what we got, what we have the most of. Now, we talked about building one that was relatively small here. And I've got a bunch this size for small ones. So one of these plates, this is going to be, I believe these are 1032. I've got so many of them here, and that was kind of the determining factor of 1024. Okay, so we're going to create for this first plate, because I have an abundance of 1024 fasteners, so we're going to make one of them 1024, and then the others, because I have a large amount of them, I have a lot of 1/4-20, which is a real common size. Matter of fact, that's 1/4-20, this is 1/4-20, and this is 1/4-20. So definitely we're going to make several of these 1/4-20. I don't see any sense for these 6x6s to make them with larger ones down the road. If I do, I mean, I've got them, and I've got other containers of them. I mean, even if you wanted to create some really, really small ones, you could go down to, you know, really small, you know, 2, 3, and 4. So this one, we're going to go ahead and set it up for 1024 because we've got a lot of them. So with that in mind, and we're going to make some clamps as well too, but go ahead and add a little air and dry this out. Okay. Don't want to blast it too hard to spread the stuff everywhere. So what we're going to do is, well, actually, let me show you how I set up my and some of you may already know this trick. I will spool the camera down, okay, and we'll work down at this end here, okay, and I'll get you guys into where you can see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off, and I've already preset this one, but what I like to do is you come down here and you just grab a number like 1 inch. We're going to make them half, and you can feel, you know, if you lift it up, you can feel the groove. Again, this doesn't have to be super exact precise, so we've already set our spring caliper up. Okay, so we're actually in the grooves. We're going to do 1/2 inch on this, and all I'm going to do, and it's a real quick process how you do it, okay, is we drop one down onto the side and run along the edge. And the same thing. We're going to go all the way around all 4. And just so we kind of keep continuity, we'll just make sure that we'll always make sure that the screw is to the outside, and you just go around all 4 sides. Okay, so the next step would be to come over here and move it out to where it's 1 inch, and we'll go between 1 and 2. Okay, same thing. And this is how you just create your grid going along the outside. Real quick, real easy. It doesn't have to be, again, this is just a fixture plate. Okay, and then the next, and then we go to 1.5 inches. Because that's the next 1/2 inch mark. Same thing. And I don't know that I've ever showed this trick before on camera, so this should be new and interesting. Again, always making sure you keep whatever part to the outside is the same. You know, you don't want to push too far down and really throw your measurements off, but you know, There's always more than one way to skin a cat. Okay, and then the next we're going to be at 2 inches, so we go ahead and spread it out here to 2. Okay, same thing. Always keeping the same side of the tool to the outside. So we've always got our, just because that's how we started off. This is a trick the old man that I've always talked about, the old millwright that always showed me how to do things for doing layout. What? Got crooked on that one. I was trying to go slow. Okay, and I was trying to use my left hand, so let's go with, there we go. That one didn't turn out great. Okay. Yep. When you start getting a little wider, let's hold, there we go. Holding pressure against the edge, that's what the, need to make sure we, alright. So let's go back and remark this one, just because it turned out horrible. Whoop. See, nothing ever goes as smooth as planned. And now that I've got 5 dozen marks there, so that we find the right one, this is where you erase the mark and you start over. So there you go. I got a little heavy on there, so now we'll come back here, make sure we hold pressure on here, and as well as pressing down so we don't slide like we did a while ago. There we go. And that's still a little wet. We'll let that dry more. So there you go. That's how I figured I'd show you guys a little bit of layout. I'll zoom in here and you guys can see how it was turning out. I got that little heavy in there. Just dab a little off. That'll work. Okay. So when you start getting wide, you've got to not only press down, but press to the side here so it doesn't ride up, which is what happened a while ago when it, there we go. And we'll make sure we're backing all these up with our movements on the X and Y and everything here. You know, we'll make sure that when we're doing everything, and so that's 2, next is 2.5, and that should be, this should finish everything off. Yeah. Just got to go a little quicker. Trying to go too slow. Yeah. And then come back on this side. There we go. And again, it kind of looks weird and it's off, but I'm not going to go exactly on here. I mean, this gets me within where I need to be for the layout. What I'm going to rely on is when I go to do my, when I go to dial everything in, I'll make sure that I'm dialing, you know, 500 thou, drop, 500 thou, drop, 500 thou. So we're actually going to drill all these, and I'm not going to do that on camera, but I will show you my tapping head. So hopefully that showed you a new way to deburr and do a little quick layout. Again, there's a myriad of ways to do it. I'm just showing you one way that's unique, and there you go. Get out in the shop, do something. On the next video, I'll show you drilling and tapping, and I'll show you the tapping head that I got. So there you go. Thanks for watching. My public email address, eagledustoff37@gmail.com. You guys shoot me an email. I'll answer you as soon as I can, and until next time, get out in the shop and do something. Take care of yourself and your family, because at the end of the day, your family's all you got. This stuff is fun, you guys. Get out and get busy. Talk to you later in the next video. Bye.